June 6, 1944. Just before 6 a.m., the gray waters of the English Channel churned under a cold, brittle dawn. A thick mist hung low, cutting visibility to barely a few hundred yards. Waves slapped against the hull of LCVP 325, the tiny landing craft that seemed absurdly fragile against the vast Atlantic. You can almost feel the freezing spray on your face, the sting of salt as it lashes the eyes. Inside, Coxswain. John W. Miller gripped the wheel with knuckles white against the cold metal. The thrum of the twin gray marine engines vibrated under his feet, but even that steady rhythm couldn't drown out the distant, yet growing thunder of German artillery. From the cliffs above, MG-42 spat fire in long bursts, cutting the sea into a deadly checkerboard. Miller's voice broke the tense hum, calm yet strained. Steady, steady. Around him, a dozen soldiers crouched, rifles clutched, faces pale, drenched in fear. Each man carried a weight heavier than his kit, years of training compressed into a single, terrifying ride. And yet the craft remained tiny, a wooden shell holding lives against an ocean of lead. The first shell slammed into the water 30 feet from their bow, throwing foam and steel into the air. The boat jolted, throwing Miller off balance. He righted it. Behind them, another craft was ripped apart by a near miss. Bodies flung into the frothy sea. Silence fell for a heartbeat, then screams and the echoing roar returned. Miller's eyes scanned the horizon. Omaha Beach had become a nightmare before they even arrived. Sand dunes riddled with steel obstacles, craters smoking with shell fire, and German soldiers, shadows against the sky, waiting with murderous precision. Yet somehow, the tiny LCVP seemed like the only thing between these men and survival. Almost there, Miller muttered, and in that whisper, you can hear the courage, the quiet defiance that would define the day. Suddenly, a shell exploded dangerously close, water spraying over the bow, chilling Miller to the bone. He tightened his grip, and you realize every inch mattered. Every decision could be the difference between life and death. And ahead, the beach waited. What the soldiers didn't know was that this small boat, piloted by one man against impossible odds, was about to become an unlikely hero in history's largest invasion. The roar of artillery grew louder, the distance to shore shrank, and then the first men would have to leap the bow of LCVP 325, scraped against the churned sand of Omaha Beach. The boat groaned under the sudden resistance, and for a moment time seemed to stretch. Miller's hands were steady, but his eyes betrayed the tension. Hundreds of rifles, machine guns, and mortars pointed straight at them. The air smelled of salt, cordite, and fear. You hear that? A young private whispered behind him. It's like the world's breaking. Miller didn't answer. He couldn't. Every second counted. The craft lurched forward again, plowing through obstacles, hedgehogs, wooden stakes, and metal beams planted by the Germans to shred landing craft hulls. A shell slammed into the water beside them, drenching the men in icy spray. One soldier vomited. Another trembled so violently he nearly lost his rifle. But Miller pressed on, guiding the boat with a precision born of countless drills, of nerves sharpened in the quiet hours before the storm. The first men were ready to disembark. Miller glanced back, meeting their eyes. You can almost feel the fear in that gaze, the raw, unfiltered terror of men about to step into death. And yet, in that same look, there was trust that he could get them there alive. Go, 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 Miller barked. The ramp dropped. The first soldiers leaped into the chaos, immediately disappearing into a wall of bullets and smoke. Men screamed. Explosions cracked the morning air. Sand and seawater erupted around them. The tiny craft felt impossibly small against the fury of Omaha Beach. One shell hit so close the boat rocked violently. Miller fought to keep it steady. You can imagine the instant terror, the spray of water, the smell of burning cordite, the screams cutting through the din, and yet he didn't falter. Each maneuver, each correction saved lives. Each decision kept his men alive, even as the world around them seemed to collapse. Then a German soldier appeared atop a ridge, silhouetted against the smoky horizon, rifle raised. He fired. Bullets pinged against the metal sides. Another soldier fell into the sand. Miller instinctively swerved, narrowly avoiding disaster. The landing craft tipped dangerously, but his skill held it together, and in that moment something clicked. The soldiers saw it. One man alone at the wheel, defying the inferno. A small boat, a single coxswain, holding back the chaos, just enough for men to survive. Just enough for hope to exist, but the worst was yet to come. The first wave had hit, and the beach was chaos incarnate. Smoke rose in gray plumes, mingling with the dawn mist. Men shouted. Bullets zipped through the air, and the sand, once soft, was now torn and cratered, slick with blood and seawater. Yet LCVP 325 remained, a tiny vessel in a sea of fire. Miller's hands were raw, veins taut against the wheel. Around him, soldiers clung to the craft, trembling, some crying, others silent in shock. You can almost feel the weight of it, the lives depending entirely on one man's skill, courage, and split-second decisions. Each wave brought a fresh barrage. Mortar shells landed closer, spraying sand and metal. The roar of MG-42s cut like knives across the water. Hold steady, Miller shouted. Though the sound barely carried over the din, his voice wasn't just orders, it was reassurance, a lifeline. Each time the bow dipped into a wave, each time the craft threatened to capsize, he fought to keep it upright. Every maneuver saved soldiers from drowning in the icy surf or being struck by flying debris. The soldiers on the ramp had begun moving again. Miller's eyes darted from the bow to the waterline, scanning for obstacles. Wooden stakes, twisted metal, mines, death in every shape. A shell exploded just off the port side, hurling water high enough to drench the men again. One private screamed, frozen in the spray, his rifle clanging uselessly. Another fell, and Miller instinctively leaned over, grabbing him by the collar, pulling him back to safety. Then the small craft lurched as an explosion rocked the sand under the keel. Miller's heart raced. He could feel the craft trembling beneath him, threatening to throw him overboard. But he didn't panic. He couldn't. The soldiers were still climbing the ramp, and behind them more waves approached. Lives depended on him staying calm. Above, German gunners tracked the tiny vessel relentlessly. Each shot meant certain death, yet Miller guided the craft with uncanny precision, slipping past obstacles, dodging craters, and weaving through the chaos like a ghost on the water. You can almost taste the salt, the smoke, the fear, but also the raw determination radiating from him. For the soldiers, this was more than courage, it was survival. For Miller, each second was a testament to skill honed under pressure, instinct sharpened by danger. And though the beach screamed around them, though men fell and bodies tumbled, the craft held firm. But even as the ramp emptied and men scrambled toward the sand, a new threat loomed. Reinforcements were coming. Another wave of German fire was ready to hit, and Miller knew this was far from over.